by that, right? Everybody, go ahead and do this. You've got to make sure you're getting these right numbers. I need one of you to give me the 4-digit decimal for that. This times this divided by 27.2. Ethan, what do you got?
0.7559.
0.7559. Fellas, this has to be written as part of your work. You can't say, well, I just did that somewhere. No, it's got to be on the paper. Okay, now go ahead and hit your second function key, right? Inverse sine. And somebody, give me b sub 1. Calculator's going to do everything. Go inverse sine key of 0.7559. So
49.1.
okay, that's good. 49.1. Write that down. 49.1. So there's that. Come over here. Now, watch this. Someone's going to say, will this always be true? You just found this to be 49.1. Now look. Doesn't that also have to be 49.1? You just found. They're the base angles, right? Because that was isosceles. So once you get b sub 1, what are you always going to do? And that'll be b sub 2. Look, I already got it marked up there. I'm going to simplify this even more for you today. Once you do that and get b sub 1, remember that's b sub 1 also, then all you would have to do to get b sub 2 is, Rob,
Subtract 180.
take 180, subtract b sub 1. Somebody do that. And tell me what you got. Just take 180, subtract the b sub 1 you just found. Ethan.
130.9.
Okay, so let's write that down. 130.9. Now, you know angle A, and you know both of the B angles. Well, isn't this going to be pretty easy to get the C angles in? To find big angle C sub 1, isn't it going to be 180, subtract the A, subtract B sub 1? Do you follow me? Go ahead and do that. To get big angle C sub 1, you're just going to take 180, subtract 29.7, subtract 49.1. What do you got? Big angle C sub 1. Rob. 101.2 degrees. And now, to find angle C sub 2, now it's much smaller, right? See it there? Here's the small one right here. Take 180, subtract 29.7, subtract 130.9. You see it's going to leave you with a much smaller angle, which makes perfect sense. What's big angle C sub 2? When you punch all that in there. Alex?
19.4.
Very good, 19.4. Okay, now let me stop for a minute. Actually, this is almost done already. Does anyone have a question how you get all these angles? Now, I got news for you. I hate to say this. A problem like this on a test or a quiz is going to be worth substantial points. So many points, so many points, so many points, so many points. Now, here's the bad news. This won't happen if you're careful. If you get angle B sub 1 wrong, those are all going to be wrong, aren't they? Do you understand? Once you get big angle B sub 1, everything else is going to fill in. Subtract from 180 to get this, then add the 2, subtract from 180, add the 2, subtract from 180. So those are all pretty simple calculations. What's the only thing left I have to do right now? And you already know how to do it. What's the only thing left up here in this big problem to do? Ethan?
Do proportions here.
Do the two proportions, one defines side C sub 1 and one defines side sub C sub 2. Now somebody mentioned this yesterday. Use your original givens as much as possible. See, here's your original givens. So when you do your law of sines, you're going to have the A over the sine of A in both of these. So somebody, give me the proportion to find side C sub 1. Somebody give it, and write it in your notebook. Give me the proportion to find side C sub 1. Oh, this really isn't that bad now, because it's the second day and I did all this yesterday. What's the matter? Someone, give me the proportion to find C sub 1. David.
27.2 over sine of 29.7
Okay.
equals
Equals.
side C1 over sine of 101.2.
Now, did you hear what he said? It's side C sub 1 over the sine of capital C sub 1. So look, it's right there, 101.2. So guys, this is the bad news about this. If you miss these angles, you're using these angles to find the sides. You're screwed. So be very careful. When this first step right here is critical. You do it right. Okay, now you take this times this divided by this. Go ahead, punch it in. What is it? All keystrokes are doing everything now. There's the proportion. Zona.
53.9.
53.9. And guess what? Everyone should have identical answers. Okay, now somebody give me the proportion to find side C sub 2. Okay, let's write that in. 53.9. Give me the other proportion now to find C sub 2. Andrew?
Yeah, 27.2 over sine of 29.7 equals C sub 2 over 19.4.
Side C sub 2 over the sine of, now angle C sub 2 is this little one, 19.4. So this times this divided by that is going to give you side C sub 2. What do you got? Can you, he's not here yet.
Big C2.
Can you see it?
Big C2.
Do you have his number? Do you have his number? Don't have his number? What is it? Mr. Saitek, we can start it. What is it? Ethan?
18.2.
18.2. Mr. Tite, we can start it right now. All right, you guys. I've asked Mr. Saitek to be here too. Now you got to pay attention here because you don't know any of this yet. We've been having meetings all year long. Meetings with curriculum. There's been some changes on how things are going to happen for next year. Okay, first thing. Where's the sophomores in here? Okay, I got quite a few in here. Okay, you sophomores, this doesn't affect you. What I mean by that is you guys that are 10th graders in this class, you're in Calc Honors next year. It's automatic. Okay? So I'm really talking to the juniors then. Okay, juniors, raise your hand. How many of there are you in here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's close to 15. Okay, here's the deal. Let me direct your attention to the sideboard. Now please pay attention, because by the beginning of next week, I need to know. Mr. Smith needs to know. You see where our class is right now? You can see it there, 11th grade, Algebra 2/Trigonometry. That's this class, right? You see what it says, the arrow going to the right? I had that up there since open house, because I knew I would have had to talk to you guys about scheduling. You know, guidance does scheduling, you know that. That process is starting already. You know by the end of the school year, you're pretty much going to have your schedules for next year. I think that happened last year too. You may not have the teachers' names plugged in, but you kind of know your schedules. You see what it says? It says calculus honors and or stats honors. Okay, now let me explain what this means to you, because you actually have a choice here for the first time. And I'm going to give you my perspective on this, and Mr. Saitek's going to have something to add too. Okay, the first thing is this. This is for juniors now. Next year, it's Calc Honors or Stats Honors. Now, I didn't mention it in your class, but if somebody wanted to do both, they could, but that's kind of rare. Calc Honors or Stats Honors. Now, some of you are probably sitting there going, we don't have to take Calc Honors? I mean, juniors, that's probably the first thing that's jumping in your head right now. Well, technically, with some of the changes we've made, the answer to that, we kind of started. This is perfect. Your timing is everything, right?
Yes.
That was perfect.
Timing is everything.
So next year, Calc Honors, Mr. Saitek traditionally has taught the Calc Honors. okay? Our teaching schedules have not been determined yet. Mr. Smith has to do that, okay? We haven't plugged all those in. Now, most of the math teachers pretty much do the same type of thing every year, but Calc Honors is pretty much probably Mr. Sytuck.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm saying, it's not in stone, but he's the one that has done it. Stats Honors, we have a probability, we have stats in AP right now at prep. We don't have an honors level. Well, next year, there's going to be an honors level 2 for stats, not AP. Mrs. Quinn has traditionally done the AP stats. Who's going to do stats honors next year? Has not really been determined yet. Could be Mrs. Quinn, could be Mrs. Warline. We don't know that yet, okay? That hasn't been determined yet. But now, I'm going to give you my viewpoint on this, because some of you might be saying, oh, great, I don't have to take calc. I'm going to tell you, for a lot of you, you know, most of you probably don't know what the hell you're doing in college yet. I mean, you might know, but a lot of kids right now, they're like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Fellas, at prep, when you're in honors, like all of you are, you get to calc by the end, before you graduate. A lot of schools in this area, they don't even get to calc. They'd be lucky if they get to trig, and some of them don't even get to trig, and you're taking it now as a 10th or 11th grader. So to jump on a bandwagon and say, well, screw it, I am taking Calc Honors. Kids that graduate from prep, when they come back and visit all the time, they say, hey, how's it going? What kind of math classes you taking? And I'm telling you, most of the time, the kids that come back, that's maybe when you like appreciate prep a little bit. Sometimes, right? No, I'm dead serious when I say it. After you went through and you go to college, you go, oh my God, we did all this at prep. Well, calculus, that's one of the things I'm talking about. If you have an opportunity to take calc in high school, that'd be a good idea. Now, you may want to consider the other thing, and this is the stuff you were talking
Well, I was
about.
going to say, if you're going to be an art major, okay, you most probably aren't going to have to take calc in college. So you might drift toward the stats. Just about everything you take now, when you get to college, there's going to be some kind of stats involved. Just about everything, okay? If you're going to be a psychology major, you might want to take the stats. But if you're going to stay, instead of art, architecture, any kind of math, any kind of engineering, you're probably better off in the calc. Okay? Everybody get my drift? All right? If you're going to be a psychologist, you may want to take the stats. If you're up in the air and you don't know from a hill of beans, maybe you want to take the calc.
And I concur with that. What Mr. Sytuck said, I totally concur with what he's saying. If you don't really know, looking down the road from people that have been there and done it a million years ago, you're better off doing the calc. I'm not saying you can't do the stats. And then as far as when you make a decision, this is the stuff you were talking about. Like once you're like in place and you can't say, you know what I mean?
I'm actually meeting with technology today at 1 o'clock to kind of go over scheduling. So we're going to try to do something a little different this year where you're actually going to schedule yourselves on your iPad. So when we're talking about math courses or even science courses, when you have a choice, don't do what your buddy's doing because they have the inside track based on someone that went here years ago saying, oh man, don't take SciTech for this because of, or don't take Quinn because of this, because of. Do what you think is going to be best for you, and that's going to challenge yourself, because once you make your schedule, there'll be a period of like maybe a week, and I'm not sure what the terminology or requirements are, that you'll review it, and then it's going to be locked in and we're not changing. So if you think you want a certain class and all of a sudden you talk to somebody else and you're like, oh, I got to get out of that, I'm not changing them, because we base our master schedule. So what Mr. Achille teaches each period is based on how many kids are going to be in that course and how many sections we're going to have. So if we have 28 that sign up for stats, that's probably one, maybe two different classes. Now all of a sudden 10 people want to drop out, now we have to redo the whole thing. I'm not doing that. So when we get you your schedule and you talk to whoever it is that you would talk to about what math course you should take, one of these two guys or one of the other math teachers, that's who you should take the advice from. Because I am not listening to parents calling me whining about classes because you already saw them, they already saw them, and that's it. So choose wisely. Science next year, 95% sure it's going to be an option for you. So no more mandatory physics. It's going to be physics, environmental, forensics, or anatomy and phys. So 95% sure that that's going to be your options next year. Again, you're going to want to talk to a science teacher or a parent, or maybe if you already know where you might be wanting to go to school. Hey, should I take physics or should I take this? So don't base it on what's going to be the easiest, based on what's going to be the best. There are students that are at very high-end colleges that are freshmen that I've seen their parents and they said, you know what, they had to come home and get their notes from so-and-so's class because it was taught here a lot better than it was in college. And you could decide to go to easy route now with math, and then all of a sudden you go to college and, oh my gosh, now I have to take calc and I didn't take it at prep. And you get an ass of an instructor. And their job is to stand up here and lecture and be dry, and it doesn't matter if you get it or not. Go see some tutor. I'm not paid here for you to learn. I'm paid here to teach. That could happen in college. And your mommy calling the dean of the math department isn't going to change it. Whereas here you have a little bit more personality with the teachers and time to come in before and after and get help and get assistance. So I say this as to say, choose wisely. Don't do what your buddies are doing because you might kick yourself down the road. If you don't know what you're doing for college yet and you don't know what major you're going to get in, good, you're in with 98% of the other kids around the country. But talk to your parents, talk to your teachers, make the right decision, because once we set up those guidelines, as you can see, we redid the discipline handbook. There hasn't been really any leeway, and if you do the crime, this is the time you're getting. It's going to be the same thing with scheduling. Schedule your classes on April whatever or March whatever. It's over, then that's it. Any questions for me before I go talk to seniors?
How hard would it be to do both? Like trig and, calculus and stats, you know?
That would be
That
a
is
great caution
possible.
for your
That would-
teachers based on what they know of you as a student and what your schedule's going to look like.
But that would limit you on electives then, if you did that.
But that might
That's
be
a whole
something you might
year.
wanna do.
I tell you with the stats, you might
Yeah.
want to talk to Mrs. Quinn right now, because she's the only one that teaches any kind of stat.
Right.
And I would bet that she has tests, but I would bet there are more little projects that you have to do, you know, as opposed to written homework all the time. That's my guess. I don't know for sure. You'd have to ask her.
And then-
Okay, in stats.
Yeah, and what about, is it mandatory to take gym class next year?
Yes. So you have to finish with 2 years of phys ed, so it's like a quarter health, quarter gym. But then that's something else that I have a phone call into a Catholic school in Pennsylvania where they give a full PE credit if you play a sport. And so since it's Pennsylvania, if they do it, they're under the same guidelines that we are, being a private school, but also under the Pennsylvania State Department of Education guidelines. But if we can see what they're doing and it's been accepted by the state, then that's something that we might look into too, because I'm guessing that you probably do more in most of your sports at practice than you do here in a PE class, from what I've seen. So, depends on what, I mean, if you're a golfer, no, obviously you're just whacking a ball and you're getting in a cart or walking around or something, but no, it depends, you know, I mean, there has to be a component of physical fitness to it, and the state requires that a certified health and phys ed teacher gives you a grade for that. So I'll find out the details about that, but for right now it is.
So, you know how you were thinking about the weight training?
Yes.
Could that take place of a?
That would be, as of right now, an elective, because we haven't talked about it enough, but just off the top of my head. But yeah, that is what probably most people signed up for as an elective choice. So I'm actually going to be going through those. I should probably send something out to you guys. That I'm going to select, based on your responses from that survey, the top 35 electives that people were interested in, and those will be the only choices. So maybe I'll resend that out to you guys so you can look at it and see if there's anything else you want to add. Or I'll shorten it down and say, hey, choose from these 40, and we'll whittle it down from there. Because we want to offer things that you're interested in, not things that you have to take. So that, if that would help. So if I don't send that out to you before the end of the week, Campbell, you remind me and send me an email or see me when you're down there and say, hey, don't forget to send that email out to everybody about the elective choices. Okay? Anything else? No?
That's good.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, thank you. No, really. No, really. Thank you.
No, thank you. Oh, and by the way, the calc and the stats are two completely different animals. Okay? They're really different. So before you make that choice, know that too. They're two completely different things. Okay? All right. Any questions for me? I got the calc. Right now. Maybe Mr. Kelly and I'll switch.
Mr. Achille hasn't done calc since Mr. Achille went to college. I'm going back.
Mr. Seitak.
I'm going back to the late 70s.
Mr. Seitak hasn't done freshman since Christ was a Jew.
Mr. Seitak can't handle no, he can handle them discipline-wise, but they're just too young for him. They're just like little boys. He couldn't handle
I'll kill
that
him.
crap. He'd kill him, that's right.
Kill dead.
And when you
Okay.
leave, I'm going to talk about
No
you.
questions for me?
I'm going to talk about you, but it's all good.
I don't care to talk about it.
No, fellas, listen, before I tell you what I want you to do, he's been doing the calc honors forever. Mr. Seitak teaches very similar to the way I do this style. We're very similar to how we do things. Now, if you're sitting there going, sounds like Achilles pushing us to the calc honors, I'm not gonna lie to you, I kinda am, but I can't make that choice for you. We just wanted you to know all the different things involved. And you heard what Mr. Smith said. Because in the past, when somebody made a phone call and said, I want my son changed to this class, they said, okay, we'll do it. That ain't gonna happen. If you start in something and go, uh-oh, I made a bad choice here. I don't want to do this. You're locked in, you're locked in. And that's what he was trying to tell you. Yeah,
So what choice did the sophomore get?
you don't have a choice. You're calc honors for sure. But then the following year, you're in stats.
Okay, so
You see what I'm saying? 10th graders, this doesn't involve you right now. You have to go to calc honors next year, the 10th graders that are in here. And then your 4th year is the stats. Because you started a year ahead, because you were in the 8th grade program. All right, do you have any more questions about that from me? Like by the beginning of next week or sooner, juniors, you got to tell me. Do what you got to do, talk to you have to talk to, and you got, because we got to know. Because like he said, when they put that schedule, we got to know how many in stats honors, how many in calc honors. We need all that information. Okay, this is all I want you to do. Take your iPad out. 2 problems, I told you. That's all I'm giving you.